Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded. I'm your host, Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. I have been studying mind mastery and emotional management and its connection to spirituality for over 25 years. In this podcast, I help guide you out of your daily struggles in life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. Life is hard, but your daily growth doesn't have to be. Join me 3 times a week as I lead you inward on a healing, creating, and connecting journey. Let's go get the nugget of inspiration. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope you are stepping into the new you for the new year. And if you are not stepping into the new you for the new year, then it is my intention that in today's episode I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. Because that's all we really need, right? To make a transformation. We need one nugget of information. We need one nugget that gives us a perspective shift that changes and alters our life forever. I have shared a lot of mine with you over the past couple of years of this podcast, and I want to share another one with you that has really made me think more about the person I want to become. Because if I change who I am, then my outside world changes. That's where we should cue music, is right there. That's where the outside world starts to shift, is when I start to make a shift. And even though we're a couple weeks into the new year, I think it's important to always keep that fresh in your mind, that you can always become a new you, whether it's a new year or not, whether it's a new day or not. You can always change. I remember talking to Amy early on in boot camp, and she was, I think she said the Monday girl is what she called herself when she would start a diet. And by Wednesday, if she's fallen off her diet, then she goes, okay, well, I'll just kick off the rest of the week and the weekend, and I'll start again on Monday. And I say, you know what? Why don't you start again right now? Why don't you start again in 10 minutes? Why don't you start again right now, making a better choice? So I want to talk about this word, and it's a word I'm sure you've heard of, and it is becoming more of a theme in my life, and I want to share it with you. And that word is embody, and that is to become in the body. Now, if you've listened to the last couple episodes, I'm talking about overcoming the body. But what I want you to do is, because it is your body that is moving through space and time, and it is your body that is experiencing this life, all of the parts of your life, all of it. So the pain, the discomfort, the trauma, the chaos, the overwhelm, the anger, and the joy, the love, the happiness, the excitement, the fun. But if we want things to change, we have to shift our perspective. We have to shift our focus and our attention. And that's really what I'm all about. You know, I get upset about something and I go, okay, I'm going to go right to the outside world, and I'm going to try to get all of the traffic and all of my kids and all of my neighbors to behave themselves so I can feel better. How many of you guys do that? We all do it. We all do it. It is ingrained in us. It's stupid. And I'm not calling you stupid. It is just a stupid thing that we have learned, and it's frustrating because now you have to unlearn that. So then what you do is you remind yourself, hey, you know what? I'm in this body. I'm in this experience. I need to change. And then the outside world will change. Now, there's 2 things that happen. Does the outside world actually change? Yes, and sometimes no. Yes, all of a sudden your partner and your kids and your dogs will start acting differently towards you. And the outside world, even go out a little bit further, the traffic is still going to be the same. Here's the difference. It doesn't bother you. Now, have you ever had someone have a conversation with you and say, hey, you know what? Oh my God, this thing, that it irritates me to death. I am so annoyed when people don't use their blinker. And then you're talking to someone and they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. Why is that? It bothers me. Why doesn't it bother you? It's just different. They don't have the same energy resonance to that trigger. Doesn't it bother you when your kids don't clean up after themselves? Doesn't it bother you when they don't turn their socks right side in? Doesn't it bother you when your dogs incessantly bark at the mailman who shows up every single day for the last 23 years? Why doesn't it bother them? So that is a huge perspective. That was huge for me. I thought the things that bothered me bother everybody. That's not the case. So when you start to become someone different on the inside, things start shifting on the outside. Now, they shift where you notice things being different, showing up differently. Your husband, your wife, your kids, they start to show up differently. But then the other is those things that were bothering you still show up. They just now don't bother you. It's amazing. I love this work, and this is the reason I love it. I feel smart. It's fast. It's powerful. And the best part is it's instantaneous. You start releasing triggers. Now, you might have 10,000 triggers, but you start releasing triggers. They are gone the moment you let them go. Now, in this episode, we're not really talking about releasing triggers. What we are talking about is embodying the new you. Now, in the last couple of episodes, I talked about manifesting. And there's a lot of different ways to manifest, but the process all the way at the bottom, the foundation that you stand on to create something in your life is the same. You have to go from the thinking, the desire part, down into the body. You have to take that thinking, that visual, that image, and push it down into the body. And you push it down into the body, it creates an emotion, an emotional response. That becomes your magnetism to the universe. That's your communication to the universe. And in your communication to the universe, that's the hardest thing to control, is our emotions. You can think a different thought, but if you don't have the emotion attached to it, then it doesn't matter and it's not going to go very far. It's like I want to break a window in an old building and I'm going to throw a frozen pea at it, which are our thoughts, or I'm going to throw a brick. Now, I'm not talking about vandalism and I don't do that. I just want you to know, but it was a really good analogy, wasn't it? If I throw a brick, I am more likely to have an impact. Something's going to happen. If I throw a pea, nothing's going to happen. Why are you joking? Okay, that's what affirmations are. That's what they do. Nothing. They do not have the same impact on the universal energies. So take that analogy with you. Here's another one. If I want to change, I have to do things differently. So we're not talking about just forcing behavior, because if you're not in alignment with it, then you're not, dragging your butt to the gym every single morning at 5:30 when you're not in alignment with it and you can't overcome the body, you're going to have a really, really hard time and you're not going to get the results. So the other is visualizing your future. Now, here's what I want you to do. You always have homework, I understand, but it's good homework and hopefully it's progressing you in your life. Hopefully you are releasing and you're stepping into new yous all the time. My job is to give you perspective shifts. And in those perspective shifts, you make different decisions. And in those different decisions, you become more in alignment with the true you. You start elevating your life just like that. It's instantaneous. Okay. So take your desire, whatever your desire is, and it sounds a little repetitive. Take your desire, whatever your desire is, and I want you to describe the person who has that desire. Describe the person who has that desire. What do they act like? How do they behave? What do they look like even? So if I was going to be, let's say I'm going to create a talk show. And let's say at home, I'm in my basement, I'm 300 pounds, I don't shower often, I don't brush my teeth, I hardly get out of bed, I wear grubby, nasty holes in my pants, sweatpants, and I don't take care of myself, I don't eat very well, I don't sleep very well, I watch a bunch of TV, but I have this podcast show in my basement. But my goal is to be on a talk show. Like I want to be on stage and under the lights with a giant audience. So the first thing is, what does your avatar look like? Are you going to show up looking like that? The answer may be no. So then what do you have to do? Well, now I need to pay attention to some self-care and some self-love. I need to go get maybe my hair cut. I need to take a shower. Maybe I need to lose a few pounds. I need to start taking care of the inside of my body, because if I take care of the inside of my body, I'm going to have energy, and the outside of my body is going to look better. So if I'm eating crap, I'm feeling like crap. But if I'm eating healthy food, I feel healthy. I'm going to start doing that. That sounds good because I really want that talk show. Okay, we'll stay with this analogy for a moment. Then the next is, how do they act? If that person who wants a talk show, how are they going to act on stage? You have to have that whole end result image. How are they wanting to act on stage? They want to be fun, funny, energetic. They want to be talkative. They want to be in control. They want to be confident. Okay, how do you act compared to that avatar? Ooh, right? You got some work to do. But I will tell you this. You start with self-love and self-care. You are halfway there, sister. Self-love and self-care, you're halfway there. Ooh, write that down. That was a good one. You start with self-love and self-care, you're halfway there. When you get to the halfway there, you're already starting to become the person that is that person in your future. This is what embodiment is. Now, it does go a little bit deeper. So those are the big pieces. Is first, the homework is figuring out that person. What does that avatar look like? And what do they do? What's their behavior like? And I want to start matching that. I want to start mimicking that person. And you take your goal, no matter what your goal is. I want to be a better parent. I want to have more money. I want to have nicer things. I want to have a love life. I want to whatever. And then okay, how do they act? Go forward. Put an actor in that position. And you are the director of that scene. Whatever the scene is, they have the end result. They have the thing. How do they behave? Oh, wait, no, don't do that. That completely, no, you can't fold in half and shuffle your feet. You have to stand up with your chest high and your shoulders back and your head high, and you have to walk with purpose. Okay? Practice that. See what it feels like. If it feels completely awkward, literally as if you just stepped into the wrong role of you were like mismatched for the role in this acting position, then work with that. That now becomes something that you can release. Then, moving on, how do they talk? What do they say? How do they talk? Do they talk with confidence? Are they loud? Are they quiet? Are they funny? How do they depict themselves? And what words do they use? What words do they use when they talk? And what words do they use when they talk about themselves? I used to tell my clients, you can't hate yourself to a new body. You just can't. It's not going to go well. You can't hate yourself into healing. You can't hate yourself into losing weight. You can't hate yourself into a loving relationship. You can't. Never, 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 never. How do I know? I'm 50 years old. And for probably that section of when I started dating for probably, 15 years, I tried to do that. And watch this. As soon as the awareness came into my life that said, you know what? I deserve a healthy relationship. Whether I'm gay or not, doesn't matter. There are people out there who have loving, healthy relationships, and I want one too. As soon as I made that decision, my life completely changed. I walked differently. You would not believe it. If you met me, you would describe me as a confident person. And I am. I'm a very confident person. But you know what had to change? I had to decide to be confident. I had to embody the person I wanted to be. I was very joyful, fun, energetic as a kid. I hit about 7th grade. People started picking on me. I started getting bullied like crazy. I was teased endlessly. So what did I do? I can't fight all that. I'm not going to literally fight them, right? So I shut down. From 7th to probably 10th grade, I hardly said anything. Every time I talked, sometimes it was a teacher who made fun of me. I would ask a question in class. Kids would make fun of me. People were stacking my locker, stealing my things, breaking my pencils, knocking my books off the desk. Teachers were making fun of me. Dude, teachers. They're supposed to be like your support system. So that was my high school career. Now, the other hand, I loved school because I loved learning. Though it was hard for me because how am I going to ask a question? I can't. So I would just kind of try to research as best as I could, and no Google, no YouTube back then. So it was really challenging. But by the time 10th grade came around, I started to kind of come out of my shell and go, you know what? I don't give a flying crap what people think of me. I'm going to start living a little bit different here. I started becoming very colorful. I used to wear Chucks, and I had probably, 7 or 8 pairs. And I would then get also the Converse socks. If you don't know what Chucks are, they're just Converse tennis shoe. And they come in a variety of colors and styles. And I had red, pink, yellow, white, black. Is that it? That might be it, at least right off the top of my head. So here's my favorite thing to do was, and I would get the Converse socks to go with it. And they were like knee-high socks, a little bit thick, and they were a bright color. And they would have the star, the white star as a logo at the top. And so I would wear a red, let's say, well, my favorite one was a pink shoe and a yellow shoe. And I would alternate the socks. Now, I looked a little bit like Punky Brewster. Now, seriously, if you don't know who Punky Brewster is, go Google. It was a TV show about an orphan, and she was very colorful. And that's kind of how I would display some of my creativity. And then kids would, again, still make fun of me because I was different. They would make fun of me, but I was okay with that. Now, of course, there was a big giant secret as a kid who's growing up gay in a Catholic community with a single mother who is not about to have her daughter be gay. That secret stayed secret for another 9 years and even came out on accident. I won't go into that. And maybe in my older podcasts I did, but I'm not going into it today. But what I'm saying is, as soon as I made a decision, I don't care what other people think, I was able to step into a little bit more authenticity. Now, from 10th grade on, I kind of entered this phase of obnoxiousness. 10th grade, 11th grade, I was louder. I was louder in color, my voice. I found my throat chakra and it expanded. That is also when I started to, I want to say, practice speaking. Now I'm holding air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm holding air quotes. And practice speaking, here's what I would do. We had a flat top. It was a garage. We called it the shed in our backyard. We never put a car in there. More just my dirt bike was in there and our bikes and a bunch of storage crap and whatever. And it was flat top. So I would climb up on top of there and it was surrounded by a cornfield. And I would pace back and forth, just like I do when I'm on stage. I pace back and forth and I engaged with this audience, this cornfield audience. I was embodying a future speaker. Now back then, I mean, we're talking, what year was that? Probably 88 or something like that. No Google, no YouTube, few books in our library, a very, very small town, small Catholic town. I had no idea that any such career existed. A speaker, I had no idea what that meant. If you're on TV, you're a news, you're a late night talk show, you're doing commercials, you're an actor, and I didn't want to be any of those things. I wanted something profound. So I was stepping into, even not knowing what I was really doing, I was stepping into this role. Now, of course, it wasn't years and years and years later until I actually entered onto my very first stage and had my first talk. That was in 2011. I think it was 2011. And it was awesome, but I had to embody that. So now let's get back to you. Take the thing that you want, expand it, step into that role. So create the scene, and this is fun to do, and you could do this with somebody. You know, I think when I do my live event, whenever that's going to be, whenever that one person who's one of my current clients right now gets that resort center and we can start working on our live event and you know who you are, then I'm going to have you in the audience do this activity. Create the scene, paint the scene, draw even a stick figure of it. You're going to be the director and you're going to put somebody on stage in that scene and you're going to tell them how to be, what words to use, how to think. You ever seen a director giving an actor, it's like, okay, so you have to be really scared in the scene because remember, you're meek and mild and this monster is about to toast you like a marshmallow. So you need to act like this and you need to think like this. You're going to do that same thing. So I suggest either you find a very quiet place and you stand up and you act in the space and then here's the nugget for you. That's all fine and dandy, Jen. How do I actually make this come to fruition? Well, this is all part of it. Can you even do that? Can you even stand up and act as if you already have the thing? Can you look yourself in the mirror and say, here's how I look. How am I supposed to look when I have that thing? When I have the money, when I have the job, when I have the relationship, when I have the health, how am I supposed to look? How am I supposed to act? What are my words? And then step in that role and start acting as if, okay? Just in this role for a second, because what we're doing, and here's the nugget, what we're doing is we're letting any resistance energy surface to the top. If there's any resistance, this is ridiculous. I'm embarrassed. This is making me angry. This is really frustrating. I'm full of doubt. Perfect. Because as soon as you release that energy, that doubt, that anger, that ridiculousness, you start to embody the new you. I'm going to tell you another story. Back in September, late September, or mid-September, doesn't matter. We went to, Amy and I do shows for our meditation room, and we sell meditation products and chakra products. And we went to a show in Kalamazoo. No big deal. Not a big deal at all. It's a show we've done several times. It's a lot of fun. It's about 3 hours from home, and we go do the show. We're gone for the whole weekend. When we come back, I'm usually pretty drained, and I'm pretty much full-time at home now, and I'm usually pretty drained. Well, through the course of the next pretty darn close to like 6 or 8 weeks, that first week especially, I'm like, why am I so tired? Okay, I guess I'll sleep in. And I'd roll back over and go back to bed. And I'm reaching out to some people, and, I had some current clients, and I'm just like, a little bit of Facebook, messaging, a little bit of email, talking to Amy on the phone. And sometimes, I'm like rolling back over and sleeping again. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just really tired. Maybe I have a little bit of a bug or something. That's like the first week. The second week, I'm like, oh my God, like what is going on? Why am I still so tired? I reach out to my coach. We have a coaching session, and she's like, well, what happened in Kalamazoo? And we tried to uncover something, and there was something, but it was not that big of a deal. And then, now it's the third week. I'm like, okay, seriously. So I start checking in. Dude, am I depressed? No, this is not a depressed feeling. It's kind of like, meh. It's just like, I just don't really care. I don't really care what's going on. I don't understand. I'm just tired. And it's like, I'm tired, but I'm not necessarily sleepy, but I just don't really want to do anything. By the end of the third week, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to fully embrace this, and I'm going to go straight to self-care. So, okay, I'm going to go walk on the treadmill. I'm going to take the dogs for a walk. It was still very nice. We had a wonderful fall. The temperatures were beautiful. Leash up the dogs, get them in the car, take them over to one of my favorite parks, and we spend, 20, 30 minutes walking around at this park. I'm like, okay. And I get home, and I'm like, I still just feel like I just don't want to do anything. Okay, well, don't do anything. All right, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to go maybe do a small workout, and I'm going to, take a shower with some really soaps and shampoo and body wash and stuff, and just make it, really kind of elegant. Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to eat a salad. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to do a little bit of shopping. I just kept doing all of these little things to check in with myself, to go, okay, I'm just going to do some self-care. Dude, that went on for like 6 weeks. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, universe or world or Amy or whoever. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Like something is definitely shifting. So anyway, so now fast forward, all of a sudden, one morning, I don't know, 6, 8 weeks later, everyone kind of, the household pretty much starts stirring at like 5:30. And I sort of wake up, and then I roll over and I do a meditation, or I sit up in bed and I do a meditation. And now it's like 6 o'clock, 6:30, and I'm feeling pretty good. And then everybody leaves. It's like 7:10. The house is empty. And I get up and I start this project. I'm going to create this group coaching program. And I start working on this project. And all of a sudden, I do this live event, and people are signing up for it. This project, this group coaching program. And it's solid. Like, I'm excited about it. The next day, I get up. 7 o'clock, I get up. The next day, 7 o'clock, I get up, and I'm like, I'm going, and I'm like, oh, I have all this clarity. I have all this, podcasts are rolling out of my face, and all this stuff is happening. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you a snapshot of what happened during this time, and I want this to encourage you to embody the new you. So here's my metaphor for what happened. My whole life, starting at age 12, I could feel and sense I was meant for something great. I used to say it, not like to people. I was always will talk to myself, which is why I love my podcast, because I feel like I'm talking to myself, though I know you're listening to me. And I remember and feeling I was meant for something great. Didn't know what it was, didn't know when it was going to happen, just kept thinking that, feeling that intuitively. And now picture me as a caterpillar on a branch, way high up in the sky, on a branch, walking around this tree for my whole life. I'm meant for something great, and I don't know what it is. I'm meant for something great. Man, I just don't know what it is. I get to the end of this branch, chewing on some maple leaf or something, I'm meant for something great. And all of a sudden, this big, beautiful butterfly lands next to me and whispers in my ear, "You're meant for something great." And I turned my head to look at this butterfly who just whispered in my ear as she flew off. And I watched her dart around with the backdrop of this dark blue sky. And I stood there and I said, yeah, it's time. And I wove myself into a chrysalis. During that 6 to 8 weeks, I stayed inside my chrysalis and I just took care of myself. I honored my physical body, my spiritual body, my energy body, my mental body. I had fun. I relaxed. I nourished my soul and my physical being. I ate healthy foods. I drank great water. I got outside. I balanced my chakras. Self-care, self-care, self-care. And when I emerged, I literally spread my wings. I'm going to encourage you to step into your wings. If you are in a place of transformation, or like me, a metamorphosis, it's time. It's time for you to go in self-care, self-care, self-care. If you start there, if you start with self-care and self-love, you're halfway there. So practice creating the scene, stepping into that avatar. How does she behave? How does she talk? And what does she think about? And start practicing. The emotions and the resistance that shows up goes into your workshop, into your journal. Those are beliefs. You start shedding those beliefs. You start releasing that resistance. And sister, you will be a completely different person, a better person, a higher purpose person, a butterfly. If you enjoyed this show, please consider making a small donation. This helps me to continue creating powerful episodes for you each week, but also you become a bigger part of changing the world by changing yourself one episode at a time. By investing in my show, you are investing in yourself, your life, and your planet. And by elevating yourself, you are elevating others around you. And I thank you.